Okay, so prayer leader for today, Ms. Kyrell, please lead the prayer. Lord God, thank you for this day. We thank you for all the blessings that you have given us. Sorry for all the sins that we have committed, and please always guide us and all our loved ones. And this we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen. Good morning, class! How are you doing today? Good to hear that from you. Are you ready for today's discussion? Well, that's great! So, class secretary, do we have any absentees for today's discussion? Perfect! Because today we will be having a game. So first we will have groupings. So, count from 1 to 6 starting from you. Okay, so please proceed to your respective groups and we will be having a fun activity since I know that you have an idea about our topic for today. Each member of the 6 groups will have an assigned number so that they will be given a chance to speak or to share their knowledge and ideas. The number that I will call will be the representative and will have to stand. I will then ask them about our topic, and the first one to raise hands after my go signal gets to answer first. 1 point for the group if he got it correctly, and chances for the other group's representatives if he got it wrong. So, the given polynomials are shown, and you will have to identify what kind of polynomial are they. Are they monomial, binomial, trinomial, and polynomial? And take note that if your answer will be polynomial, you need to include the number of terms. Like for example, polynomial of 4 terms, polynomial of 5 terms. So are we clear on that? Okay, so great. The group with the highest points gets to receive an additional 3 points for the quiz later on. And the remaining groups will have an additional 1 point because I know that you will give your effort with this activity or this game that we will have. So are you ready? Well, that's great. So we may now start. So first we will have the number 3. Okay, so please stand up. So the first expression or polynomial that you will have to identify is wait for my go signal. In 3, 2, 1, go! Okay, group 2. So what is the answer? Monomial. That is correct. So 1 point for group 2. It is monomial. Okay, so next we have number 4. Okay, the representatives of each group, please stand. So the next polynomial that you will have to identify is 5x cubed minus 6 in 3, 2, 1, go! Okay, group 1. So what is the answer? Binomial? That is correct! So 1 point for group 1. It is indeed a binomial. Okay, so next, what about the number 6? Okay, so please stand up. So our given here is 2 times x plus 1. What is it? In 3, 2, 1, go! Okay, group 4. What is the answer? Oh, it is a binomial. That is correct! So 1 point for group 4. How did you arrive at a binomial? How do you see so that it is a binomial? So you distributed the 2 to x plus 1. So giving you an answer of 2x plus 2. So therefore, this is a binomial. Okay, so you're doing great, class. So the next one is the number 5. What about number 5? Okay, so the given polynomial for you is, what about that? What kind of polynomial is that? Okay, in 3, 2, 1, go! Okay, group 4. What is it? It is a trinomial. Let's see. Great! it is really a trinomial. So 1 point again for your group. So for the next one, we will have the number 2. So please stand up. So the polynomial for you is this one. So what kind of polynomial is that? In 3, 2, 1, go! Okay, group 6. What is it? What kind of polynomial is that? It is a polynomial of what? How many terms? Polynomial of 4 terms. So that is correct. So 1 point for group 6. This is a polynomial of 4 terms. So next. So the last member who hasn't called upon yet. So the number 1. Okay, so please stand up. So the polynomial for you that you will have to identify is this one. What about this one? So what do you think is it? What kind of polynomial is it? Okay, so in 3, 2, 1, go! Okay, it's group 4 again. Let's see if they will have the chance or they will get it correctly. So what do you think is a kind of polynomial? It is what? It is a polynomial of how many terms? How many terms are there? Polynomial of 5 terms. Are you sure about that? Okay, I'm sorry, but it is not the correct answer. So, any other answers in 3, 2, 1, go! Okay, group 3. What is the answer? It is a polynomial of 4 terms. So that is correct. So 1 point for group 3. Okay, so since the group 4 has the highest number of points, they will be given additional plus 3 with our quiz later. So as you can see, we have these other polynomials. So I just included them in case there are some groups having the same number of points. So we'll just go back to them later. Okay, so congratulations to all of you because I know that you gave your best. And so the polynomials that we have discussed or which were included in our game or activity a while ago was already discussed and tackled in elementary level. So, but with a simpler lesson, and in our discussion for today, you will have greater knowledge and understanding about it. So, could someone please share his or what he remembers about polynomials? Anyone? Okay, Miss Alyssa. So, what can you share about it? All you remember is about monomial, binomial, trinomial, and polynomial. Yes, that is correct, just like what we have tackled and discussed a while ago, or what we have identified. So, any other answers? Who else has another answer? I guess none. Okay, so let's proceed with the discussion. Okay, so these are the terms that we will tackle along our discussion. So, these terms on the left are the ones that we will tackle. And these are their definitions. So, first, what do you think is the definition of monomial? So, among this, what do you think is it? Okay, so, okay, Miss Alyssa, what is it? One term. Monomial is for one term, or it consists of one term. So that is correct. Thank you, Miss Alyssa. Okay, so for the next one, we have polynomial. So, who wants to try or who wants to answer? Okay, Mr. Miguel, what is it? Polynomial. Okay, so 4 and more terms. So that is correct. Thank you, Mr. Miguel. You may now sit down. 4 and more terms. What about the degree of a term? Who knows about the degree of a term? Anyone? Okay, so I will just answer it. So the degree of a term is the exponent of a variable. So this should be here. And what about binomial? Wow! Okay, so I'll just choose Miss May. Okay, binomial consists of 2 terms. That is correct. Thank you, Miss May. And what about the degree of a polynomial? If the degree of a term is the exponent of a variable, what is the degree of polynomial? So who wants to try or just guess? Okay, Miss Kyrell. What do you think is it? Sum of the exponents. So that is correct. Thank you, Miss Kyrell. Next one is the trinomial. Okay, Miss Lovely, what is it? It is for 3 terms. Thank you. What about the constant term? So the remaining terms here are like terms, variables, unlike terms, and constant term. So what do you think among these definitions is the definition of constant term? So who wants to try? Okay, Mr. Lawrence, what do you think is it? So it is what? Term without any variable. So that is correct. Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. You may now sit down. Term without any variable. So let's just do this. What about variables? So who wants to answer? Okay, Mr. Mark, what do you think is the answer? So variables are the letters in a term. That is correct. So we have remaining like terms and unlike terms. So who wants to give the definitions for the 2? Anyone? Okay, Mr. Larry, what do you think is it? Okay, so for the like terms are the terms with the same variables and exponents. And of course, the remaining one we have the terms that do not have the same variables and exponents. Or in short, different variables and exponents. So, here are our terms. We make this. So since you already knew what our topic will be all about, we should proceed with the learning objectives. So you must differentiate monomial, binomial, trinomial, and polynomial from one another. So the next one is to identify the terms of a given polynomial. Next is to simplify a given expression consisting of like terms. Next is to differentiate the degree of the terms and the degree of the polynomial. And lastly, you should apply the knowledge regarding degrees in arranging the order of a polynomial. So now, we'll be talking about polynomials. So, what is polynomial? Polynomial consists or involves addition, subtraction, and multiplication of variables. And its terms are usually arranged in descending order or sometimes ascending with regards to their degree of terms. So here are the 2 examples. So what do you think is the polynomial with or arranged in descending order? So who wants to answer? Okay, Miss Amelia, what do you think is the answer? So what is the what order is in example number 1? It is descending order. Why do you say so? Yes, because the exponents are decreasing, starting from the highest degree down to the lowest one. So that is correct. Thank you, Miss Amelia. Okay, so for the next example, what do you think is it? Or what order is it? Yes, Miss Catherine? It is in ascending order. Why do you say so? Yes, because the elements are, the degree of or the exponents of the term or the variables are increasing, starting from the lowest to highest. That is why it is ascending. So, we classify or name a polynomial. So, how do we name them? So, there are these terminologies that we use in naming a polynomial using its number of terms. So, these are the monomial, binomial, trinomial, and polynomial. Yes, that just like what we have tackled a while ago. So that is the way of naming a polynomial using its number of terms. Because just like what we have discussed a while ago, monomial is for one term, binomial is for two terms, trinomial is for three terms, and polynomial of number of terms is for four or more terms. So that is correct. So we will just be using the example in our previous activity. So for the first one, we have this 29x. So this is a monomial. And next example, we'll just make simpler ones first. So what about this? 5x cubed minus 6. Yes, it is a binomial. What about this one? 7y raised to 5 minus 9y cubed plus 21. Yes, it is a trinomial. Very good, class. Next one is, what about, okay, I'll use the polynomials that are supposed to be given a while ago if there are groups with the same number of points. So, what about this one? What about this one? So, it is 4x raised to 5 plus 2x raised to 5 minus 2x cubed plus 5 times x raised to 4 minus x over 5. So, who got an answer? What do you think is it? What kind of polynomial is it? Just try, you may try. Okay, so, Miss Kyrell, it is a polynomial of 4 terms. Is it really a polynomial of 4 terms? How do you say so? Okay, so you added 4x raised to 5 plus 2x raised to 5. Why? Why did you add them? Because they are like terms. Yes. They have the same variables and at the same time, the variables have the same exponent. So meaning you can combine them. So we have 6x raised to 5 minus 2x cubed. What about this one? It is 5 times x raised to 4 minus x over 5. So you canceled the 5. Okay, giving you an x raised to 4 minus x. Yes, so we have 6x raised to 5 minus 2x cubed plus x raised to 4 minus x. So we have a polynomial of 4 terms. So very good. Thank you, Kyrell. What about, oh, so I'll include the solution. What about this one? (11z raised to 10 plus 3 times x plus 4 plus 1 minus x times x plus 5. What do you think is it? What kind of polynomial is it? Who wants to answer? Okay, Miss Jenny, what do you think is it? It is a polynomial of 4 terms. So let's see. Polynomial of 4 terms. So How do you see so? Oh, you distributed the 3 to x plus 4 plus 1, giving you a what? 3x plus 15. That is correct. So we already have, what about this one? Okay, so this would become x squared. So we have 11z, or we have this one. We will have a result, or the simplified term will be 11z raised to 10 plus 3x minus x squared plus 20. I'm sorry because I forgot to simplify or combine this 15 and 5. So it is just 4 term. It consists of 4 terms. So it is a polynomial of 4 terms simply. So thank you, Miss Jenny. So are there any questions, class? You're free to ask if you are, or if you feel like you are confused with some parts. Is everything clear? Well, that's great. So let's now proceed. So a polynomial also consists of terms, variables, and coefficients. So what is a term, or what are the terms? The terms are separated by plus and minus signs, which are also included in each term. And also, parentheses and multiplication sign and division sign do not separate terms. So we have example here. We have negative 5x divided by 2. This cannot be considered as two terms because the division, or the operation of division, does not divide, does not separate a term. So this is just considered as a single term, or monomial, which is one term. So what about this one? So it is 2y times y. Parenthesis is included there. So it means that it is also a single term. Ma'am, what about the examples a while ago? Okay, so the examples a while ago. So this one. What about this one? For in here, Mommy told us that parenthesis or does not separate terms. But how this term became two terms? Because when you multiply them, you will arrive at an answer or the simplified term, which is this one. So this one will become 3x plus 15. So do you get my point? It's like there are like terms, just like this one. So 4x raised to 5 plus 2x raised to 5. Those aren't considered two terms because they are not yet simplified, since you may still have another or a more simplified term rather than it. So when you identify the kind of polynomial given, you will first need to simplify or see to it that the term or the given polynomial is already in its simplest form for you to arrive at the correct answer. So are we clear on that, class? Any more questions? Okay, so let's proceed. So variables. Variables are the letters in a term and the numbers beside them are the coefficients. Constant term is a term that has no variable and only consists of a number with a degree of 0. And take note that the degree of a constant term 0 is undefined. So what do we mean when we about it? So variables are the letters in a term. So we have here an example. We have a polynomial here. 29m raised to 10 minus 7n cubed plus 20. So the coefficients here, just in the definition, the coefficients are the numbers beside the variable. What is the variable here? The variable are the letters, so meaning the variables are the m and n. And the number beside them are coefficients. So therefore, 29 is the coefficient of m. And negative 7 is the coefficient of n. So are we clear in that, class? Okay, so what about the constant term, ma'am? Constant term. So it says that the constant term has no variable beside it. So meaning, this one or this 20 is a constant term. And its degree is 0. So any given or any constant term given has a degree of 0. But what about if a constant term is 0? Like for example, there is no 2 here. So it is 29m raised to 10 minus 7n cubed plus 0. What is the degree of the number 0? It is undefined because it is stated in here that the degree of a constant term 0 is undefined. So take note of that, class. Okay, so now let's proceed to like terms. So the like terms are the terms having the same variables and powers of variables. And unlike terms is the opposite, of course, are the terms having different variables and powers of variables. So what do we mean when we say about it? What do we mean when we say like terms and like terms or whatsoever? So here is an example. 11b squared c minus 5b plus 12c minus 25b squared c. So what are the like terms there? So we have 11b squared c and negative 25b squared c. How are they like terms, or how did they become like terms? Because they have the same variables, and the variables have the same powers or exponents, because as you can see in here, we have b squared, and in here we have b squared 2, and c having an exponent of 1. Okay, so who has a question? Okay, Mr. Martin, what is your question? Good question. So, ma'am, what about if this b or its exponent will become 3 and the c will remain as it is, and this one will remain b squared c. So as you can see, if this one or this b, the exponent of b will become 3, 11b squared or 11b cubed c and negative 25b squared c will not be the same anymore. Because yes, they may have the same variables, but the powers of the variables are different, or they do not have the same exponents. So therefore, they are not already considered like terms, but instead they are already unlike terms, just like this one. Negative 5b and positive 12c are unlike terms since they do not have the same variables, and although they have the same powers of variables, or they have the same exponents, which is 1, but they do not have the same variables. So therefore, they are still unlike terms. So any more questions, class? Any other questions? Okay, none? Okay, so let's proceed. So we have this, what we call degree of term, or degree of a term and degree of a polynomial. So the degree of a term is the exponent of a variable in a term. And the degree of a polynomial is the degree of a term with the highest degree. And take note that if a given term has 2 or more variables, their exponents will be added, which will be the degree of the term. So first, we have example here. We'll go back to our example a while ago. So this one, what is the degree of term? It says that the degree of term is the exponent of a variable in a term. Therefore, what is the degree in the first term? So what do you think is it? Yes, Mr. Ryan? It is 10. Yes, it is 10 because the exponent of the variable m is 10. That is why the degree of the first term is 10. What about the second term? You may answer in chorus. So the second term would be, or would have a degree of 3. Yes, that is correct. And what about 20? What about 20? What is the degree of 20? Yes, it is 0. So thank you for remembering, and always take note of that the constant term will always have a degree of 0, except for 0, which has an undefined degree. Okay, so what about this example? So we have 6m raised to 4 n cubed p squared minus 2m cubed plus 14. What is the degree of term in the first term? What do you think is it? Okay, Miss Eliza, what do you think is it? It is 9. Why? Because it was stated in here that if a given term has 2 or more variables, their exponents will be added, which will become the degree of a term, or of the term. So 4 plus 3 is 7 plus 2 is equal to 9. Therefore, the degree of the term of the first term is 9. And what about the second one? It is, yes, it is 3, and this 14 is 0. That is correct. And the degree of polynomial. What do you think is the degree of polynomial in here? It says here that the degree of a polynomial is the degree of a term with the highest degree. So what is the degree of the first term? It is 9. The second term is 3. And the last term is 0. So what term has the highest degree? Yes, it is the first term. Therefore, what is the degree of the first term? It is 9. Therefore, the degree of polynomial is equal to 9. Yes, that is correct. Thank you. So, any other questions? Do you have any questions or clarifications regarding our topic today about polynomials? That's great. So, I assume that you clearly understood our topic and our discussion for today. And now, to expand your knowledge about or regarding polynomials, you will create or you are asked to create your own polynomial, a minimum of 3 polynomials to be exact, and with terms greater than 2. So, following this table. So, the first is you will have a column of polynomial example, number of terms, degree of polynomial, kind of polynomial, coefficients, variables, terms, degree of terms, and constant term. But before you do that activity, let us first answer this for me to know if you really understood our lesson for today. So we have a polynomial of 2m raised to 7 minus 6m raised to 5 plus 0. So how many terms are there? Okay, so there are 3 terms. What about its degree of polynomial? What is the degree of polynomial in this example? Yes, it is 7. Because it is the term with the highest degree. And what about its kind of polynomial? Since it has, or it consists of 3 terms, therefore it is a trinomial. Trinomial. And what about its coefficients? Its coefficients. Yes, 2. And also another coefficient. 6. There's something missing. Just add a little bit more. Yes, it is negative 6. Any more? Okay, so we proceed to the variables. So what are the variables in the first example? Okay, so it's just m, the letter m. And the terms are, what are the terms in here? There are 3 terms, so 2m, what? 2m raised to 7, and then another one is negative 6m raised to 5. Don't forget the negative sign, class, because that is included in each term. And lastly, what is the last term? It is 0. For the degree of terms, what is the degree of term in the first term? It is 7. What about for the second term? It is 5. Yes. What about for the last term? Is it 0? Yes, it is undefined. Always remember that, class. It is undefined. And what is the constant term here? It is 0. So for the next examples, so we have this s raised to 9 plus t raised to 5 minus q over 29 plus 4. So how many terms are there? How many terms are there? Okay, Mr. Miguel, how many terms are there? 2 terms? Are you sure? Any other answers? Miss Liana, what is the answer? So we have 4 terms. Yes, that is correct. We have 4 terms. How did we arrive at 4 terms? Because this can be or this can still be separated. So we may have s raised to 9 over 29, and the next term is t raised to 5 over 29, and negative q over 29, and the positive 4. So there are 4 terms. And what is the degree of polynomial in here? It is 9. Yes, that is correct. What kind of polynomial is it if it has 4 terms? It is a polynomial of 4 terms. That is correct. So, what are the coefficients in this example? What? 1? Are you sure? Are you sure about it? Is it 1? Try harder. Yes, it is 1 over 29. Don't forget the denominator. So it is 1 over 29. The next one is just the same. So it is 1 over 29. And this one would become negative 1. Because the sign here is negative, or it is a minus sign. Therefore, it is negative 1 over 29. So what are the variables? S, T, and Q. That is correct. And how about the terms? What are the terms? What are the terms? So, s raised to 9 over 29, t raised to 5 over 29, negative q over 29, and lastly, it's the number 4. And how about the degree of terms? What are the degree of terms? So for this one, we have, what is the degree of the first term? We have 9. For the second term, 5. For the third term, yes, negative 1. And for the last term, it is 0. Don't be confused with its exponent and its degree, because a constant term always has a degree of 0. And what about the constant term? It is 4. Next one, we have 3t cubed minus t times t squared plus 60 times t over 2. So, how many terms are there? We only have one term. Why? It's because these are all like terms, meaning you can simplify them. So this 3t cubed minus t times t squared is equal to t cubed. So 3t cubed minus t cubed is equal to 2t cubed. And then this 6t times t is equal to 60 squared. And 60 squared divided by 2, so 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3t cubed. So meaning we have 2t cubed plus 3t cubed is equal to 5t cubed. That is correct. So what is the degree of polynomial? Yes, it is 3 because it is the only exponent, or we only have a number of terms. We only have one term. So meaning the variable in there is already the degree of polynomial. So what kind of polynomial is it? Since it is one term, therefore it is a monomial. And what about its coefficients? What is its coefficients? Or what is its coefficient? Yes, it is 5. It is just 5. Because we already simplified it. It is equal to 5t cubed. And what about the variable? It is just t. And the terms, it is just composed of one term. So meaning it is 5t cubed. How about the degree of terms? Yes, it is equal to the degree of polynomial because we only have one term. And the constant term, what is the constant term? There is no constant term. So you may just leave a blank, or you may type or write none. Because there is no term that has no variable. And lastly, we have 7mt. So how many terms are there? One still. How about the degree of polynomial? Is it 1? Are you sure? There are 2 variables. Meaning, you will add the exponent. So we have 1 and 1 resulting to 2. And that is the degree of polynomial. How about its kind of polynomial? One term, meaning it is also a monomial. And its coefficients, it is 7. How about its variables? We have 2, v, m, and t. And what about the terms? It just composed of one term, so meaning it is already the term itself. So we have 7mt. And what about the degree of terms? Yes, it is just the same with the degree of polynomial, since it is only consists of one term. So we have 2. And the constant term is also none. Or there is no constant term in this given polynomial. So are we clear on that, class? So now you will construct your own polynomials, a minimum of 3 polynomials, wherein those polynomials should have a term greater than 2. So meaning this the number of terms should be greater than 2. Okay, so 3 and above. So meaning trinomial up to polynomial of the number of terms. And you will need to classify them, just like what we have done in here. Are we clear on that, class? You will write your activity in a one whole sheet of paper, and you may use colored pens if you want to distinguish the different classifications. And I'll just give you 10 to 15 minutes to finish your work, and after which I will already collect them, since we will be having our quiz later. So the timer starts now. Okay, class, time's up. Pass your papers. Okay, so give yourself a job well done. So all together, we all do job well done. Hooray! For doing great today. Congratulations! It seems like you really understood our topic for today. So did you enjoy your activities, class? Good to hear that from you. And now, let me ask you, do you want to know more about polynomials? Or do you think there are possibilities that operations will be involved to 2 or more polynomials, different polynomials? Okay, so first we will have a quick review before you proceed to before you take your quiz. So, polynomials are classified into its number of terms, and these are monomial, binomial, trinomial, and polynomial. Monomial for 1 term, binomial for 2 terms, trinomial for 3 terms, and polynomial of number of terms for 4 or more terms. And the terms are usually separated by positive or plus and minus sign, and multiplication and division does not separate terms. Variables are the letters in a term, and the numbers beside the variables are called the coefficients. The constant term is a term that has no variable and has a degree of 0. And take note that the degree of a constant term 0 is undefined. Like terms are the terms having the same variables and powers of variables, and unlike terms are the opposite of the like terms. The degree of a term is the exponent of a variable in a term, and the degree of a polynomial is a degree of a term which has the highest degree. And take note that if a given term has 2 or more variables, their exponents will be added, which will become the degree of a term. So are we clear on that, class? That's great. So now you will be having your quiz, and I will distribute some like test papers, and you will answer there. And you will just answer there. Are there any more questions, class? Okay, so yes, polynomials also involve descending order and ascending order, wherein in descending order, the exponents or the degrees are decreasing. That's why it is descending. And for ascending, the degrees are increasing. Okay, class. So if there aren't any more questions, we will already start with your quiz. So here are your test papers and please get one and pass. No cheating, because if I caught you cheating, I will get your test paper and you will not be given a chance to answer anymore. Are we clear in that, class? That's great. Time's up! Pass your papers forward. 5, 4, 3, I won't get late papers. 2, 1, okay. Okay, so thank you for listening and participating in our discussion for today. And for your assignment, try to look for 5 more examples, 5 more complex examples of polynomials and classify them. So that's all for today. Enjoy your weekend. Good day and God bless. Goodbye.